Welcome everyone, Marsha Bench here, and this is a free live training on the topic of why your expertise deserves more than a launch and what to build instead. So this is going to be timely for you. It's also going to be, I hope, eye-opening, and will show you some of the ways in which you can multiply your impact as well as your income. I know that phrase is overused, but it's true. By taking a more strategic approach to what you're building in your business. Okay, so let's dive in here. Do you recognize this moment? If you've been coaching for more than a couple of years, you probably do. It's the first of the month, and there's little to no recurring revenue on the books. Just a hope and a prayer that the next launch later this month is going to fill that gap. Very common, people focusing on one-off sales, one-off sessions, and then the next month they're basically starting from ground zero again. It's the day before your launch. Maybe it's a webinar, maybe it's a multiple day challenge or something along those lines. You've spent money on ads, you've done dozens of emails, and you've got a total of 25 registrants instead of the 300 that they say you're supposed to have for something like this. Are you going to break even? Are you going to enroll any clients from that very, I'll call it puny result from the efforts you've put out there? The answer is probably no, right? And then what about further along the line? Let's say it's a 5-day launch and it's day 4. You had a good turnout on day 1, but today only the loyal two that already have worked with you or are working with you currently dared to show up. That does not feel good, right? In fact, you might find yourself thinking, well, maybe I just don't have what it takes to do this. You start doubting yourself and feeling like you have to create something brand new. You have to do something radically different. Well, that's true. But because, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. But it doesn't mean you have to start a new business because you had a failed launch. Okay, so that's what this is really all about. Especially in light of, and I don't have a slide on this per se, but most of you have heard the term trust recession, that we're in this trust recession, meaning people have a lack of immediate trust in brands. I don't care if it's toothpaste or $100,000 VIP day with a leading expert in your space or anything in between. There's just this element that people are constantly reviewing options, comparing options, looking in different places to see who kind of pops up and stands out for the solution that they're may not even realize they're looking for, but when they see it, they recognize it. So people are more discerning, they're more skittish, if you will. They're less likely to jump into a program after a single webinar that the program, let's say it's a year-long program, like they would have done in 2020 or 2021. That was very common then, and that wasn't that long ago. But it's actually just not the norm anymore. So what smart experts are doing and smart entrepreneurs right now is they're not relying on the strategy anymore. They're making an entirely new type of decision and setting up an entire new kind of architecture, which I'm going to outline for you in this video. And it makes all of the difference in the world because it's designed for the 2026 market. So, if you feel like you're not, maybe I don't have what it takes, like we said at the bottom of this slide, that's a lie. You wouldn't be here, and you wouldn't have gotten this far without having a gift that is meant to help other people. It's not a problem with your content necessarily. It's not a problem with your offer. Sorry about the slides again. I don't know why they're doing that. There we go. Um, but what you have is an architecture problem. And I know that sounds like we're talking about building buildings, but we're talking about building a business here. And it needs a blueprint just like a building does. So that it doesn't, those two high rises that just literally sunk into the sand in Florida a couple of years ago. We don't want that to happen with your business. And so the good news is that the challenge that you've been having is fixable. It just requires shifting some thinking. So, are you willing to make some shifts in thinking and then translate that into how you approach this coming next month so that you'll get better results? If so, then I'm glad that you're here. You may have already been following me for years, or this might be the very first video that you're watching. But my name is Marsha Bench, and I've been in the space of coaching, consulting, and training and authorship for now 4 decades as of this year. It seems amazing, more than half my life. I've written 30 books and exited four of my businesses by selling them. The most recent being in 2020 when I sold my 19-year-old career coach training company. It was the first one in the world to certify people in career coaching starting back in 2001. I've coached more than 5,000 experts across literally hundreds of different industries. And the cutting edge, if you will, of my work and my legacy chapter, if you will, is leveraged authority ecosystems for accomplished experts like you. And yes, even though you may not have described yourself as a thought leader or an expert, if you're here, you're drawn to this because you literally are one and just may not have allowed that to fully come to the surface yet. So take that in. This is actually at an International Coach Federation event in Phoenix where I was one of the featured guests. So here's that launch cycle, okay, that so many people have fallen prey to. And frankly, it worked like gangbusters for a number of years. Literally, tens of thousands of people have been using it for probably close to a decade now, until it stopped working. Everything has its peaks. It has its cycle. The early adopters, and then we move into the decline. And so things have changed in the marketplace in such a way that, welcome, Becky, that it's just a trap now to use this model to enroll clients. Now, I'm not saying I'm on a webinar, so I'm not saying don't teach online. I'm not saying don't even possibly consider a shorter version of what we used to do as a launch. But how would it feel to make this irrelevant, unnecessary? That you're enrolling clients every day without needing to launch, but you just maybe want to because you'd like to get together with a group of your ideal prospective clients, share your message, and make that invitation in a more structured way. That's what's possible through what we're teaching today. So here's the thing. This model works or did work until 2026, just enough to keep you trying, but it never compounds. Every launch starts from zero. And there's ways of kind of tweaking that a little bit, pulling in people from the last one and inviting them to this one, etc. But your income still is tied to your time and a heck of a lot of hustle, meaning you've got to just go after every lead on every platform and multiple times put the message in front of them so that they finally say, okay, I'll show up. I'll at least show up for the first day and see what you're all about. But how many of you that are live with me today are willing to commit Monday through the following Tuesday, 9 days to a launch today? I'm not. I mean, it's just people's time has become much more precious to them, and they just won't do it anymore unless it's really the best thing since sliced bread. So, and let's just take the other side of the picture here. Even if you have a successful launch, most people were overly relying on that strategy, but they didn't do anything to sell clients in between the launch cycles. And so you have this peak and then it flattens out, and then another peak, and it flattens out. And if you have enough of those peaks, you have a good year. If you can get people to stick around through the whole thing and hear your offer, which we used to not even do until day 4 of the 9 days, you've lost half your audience by then anyway. So even when you do live trainings, there's a different approach now. But let's just take a quick look at each of these steps in a second here. But the biggest challenge with it is that you have to deliver it personally and live, and you're building a reputation for sure, but it isn't really an asset until it can be scaled without you. The audience from one launch doesn't necessarily feed the next. They've been there and done that. Unless they just couldn't buy and they're back because now they're ready, they're probably not going to show up if you do the same one again. And no amount of better marketing or ad spend or more content fills the structural gap. The problem with, let's say, just doubling your ad spend is now you've got twice as many cold leads, and you've got your fingers crossed that you can take them from cold to sold in whatever number of days that you have. And for some people, it works. For some clients, it works. But for others, they still want to take more time, or maybe they've got a wedding coming up, or they've got a vacation coming up, or some reason why they can't do it. So here's the critical shift that needs to happen. It's not about needing a better launch. You can analyze the heck out of a launch, and there are definitely things to improve each time. There are ways, you can look at what people did and didn't respond to, just like you might review statistics on some aspect of your business. You can, play with the pricing. You can do different things, but that ultimately is A, it's not going to smooth out your cash flow, and B, it's only one spoke of the wheel, so to speak, when you truly have an architecture in place and you can enroll clients every day. That's the ultimate. So the shift to make then is I need an architecture. I'd like to have an architecture that makes launching optional. Launching takes a lot of energy, not just the time, but during those days, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 9 days, your 100% focus and that of your team is on the launch. And, if you've got other group coaching calls and things to do, yeah, maybe you can fit those in. Probably will fit those in unless you just encourage your people to come to the launch instead. But what if all of that was optional? You could reduce your work hours and still have daily sales. If that appeals to you, stay tuned. So the alternative to that is what I'm calling the Authority Empire Flywheel. It is a much lower, I'll put it this way, a much less time-intensive model to build your business as an alternative to that launch cycle. And you build it once and then it multiplies infinitely. So you can make sales every day as your content powers each of the entry points along the flywheel here. Flywheel is each one is feeding the others. Clients are elevated effortlessly and naturally through your offers behind the scenes. So I want to walk through each one of these and I'll dispel some misunderstandings that might exist about, yeah, for sure, Becky. It's all consuming during those 9 days. That will help you see these assets differently than maybe you did before you came on this call today. The first one is we must articulate and identify and call out from you the proprietary process that you use to guide people towards whatever the transformation is. I mean, it might be simplifying their systems. It might be saving their marriage. It might be elevating their business from the 5 figures to the 6 figures or beyond. It might be, any number of specialty areas and special gifts that you might have. But there is a customer journey, right? There's a customer journey that people go through, And up until a certain point in your coaching journey or consulting or whatever your methodology is, you will do it intuitively, you'll do it naturally, you'll just ask the questions that kind of come to you. I know that's the way I was taught coaching, is just to let it flow and rely on your intuition. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, except when you get ready to try to scale your business. Then, unless somebody's developed a way of taking the contents in your brain and your intuition and literally translating it into someone else's, it's difficult to translate and transfer. So that most valuable asset, that proprietary process that you have, is living, hiding in plain sight in a way. And as we pull that out, we want to think in terms of structuring it to exist without you, which is where the rest of the elements of the flywheel come in. It does not, by the way, require a huge team either, thanks to AI. Just yesterday, I worked on an AI prompt for one of my clients that is going to take a process that used to take about 3 hours and get it done in 10 minutes. And it's not a simple process. It's taking from an assessment report, creating a like an overview slide deck to provide to them in their debriefing session. And it's not just come up with a content post for me today, but literally AI can replace or take the place of a need for some of the virtual help that you might have thought you needed if it's set up properly. So AI is embedded into all of these elements that you see here. It's again kind of beneath the surface, but it's definitely in there. This is your deepest and most impactful work, designed into a roadmap that fully serves those clients that are ideal for you. And just as a side note here, if you haven't taken a fresh look at exactly in detail who those ideal clients are in 2026, I suggest that you take some time to do that now. Because the definition of our ideal client, even a year ago, 2 years ago for sure, is not specific enough for today's market. It must be focused on solving a problem that's specific to that client group, very specific. Like, I don't know whether to try to go to counseling or whether to just file for divorce. They're in that decision point with their relationship, for example. I don't know why divorce keeps coming up. I'm very happily married and coming up on my anniversary here shortly, but it's just an easy one to look at. And so it's it's not just will help you grow your business or even will help you get more clients. It's will help you use this system, this channel to get more of these specific type of clients so that you can do X, Y, and Z. It's much more specific than in the past. So I've been saying that for years, but it's like it's taken on another level of depth and specificity for 2026. So I want to encourage you to be sure that you're designing for that, and we go through that in detail when we work together. So that's the first thing. We've got to have this proprietary system and process that is leverageable, if that's a word, that can be turned into multiple media and formats and really become the work that you do for the next 5 to 10 years potentially for people. So it can become a course initially. It's a great way to test it out. It can become a more structured way of approaching one-on-one services if you do that, but we have to have that to do anything else inside of the flywheel. Now, this probably doesn't surprise anybody that knows me since I've been writing books for my entire career. And like I say at the bottom, it's not a requirement that you write a book, but no longer do you have to take 3 months off to write a book. It can literally be done in a weekend, thanks to AI, and still sound like you. So I want to, if you haven't really considered this fully, and you want to have that authority empire working around you and supporting you, a book is one of the most powerful ways for people to really digest your proprietary process and turn it into a design, a request to work with you. But here's the problem. All 99%, I would dare to say, 95% anyway, of authors and would-be authors put all their focus on their book launch. It's like my book is launching, want to get you to buy the book. Even if they get you to buy multiple books and share them with your friends, it's what's inside the book that matters. What's inside the book needs to be strategically designed using this proprietary system, which you may or may not have taught as a course. In many of my books, I taught it first, then wrote the book because then I had some interesting stories to tell to illustrate the points. But it needs to generate clients for you. If it's not doing that, then it's a, $20 sale here and there. It's not an ongoing income stream. One of my previous mentors literally pays her mortgage every month with her book sales. And so when you're generating demand for the books, that can happen, but that's not the end of the story. Inside the book are ways that are designed strategically and architected to get people into a channel where you can connect with them personally. Doesn't matter if they bought it on Amazon. They're in your email list because you're giving them either resources or you're in some other way taking them out of the book and into your ecosystem. And then they have a very step-by-step process to becoming a client if they wish to. And 24 hours a day, that can be generating leads. People that are sleeping now and the other side of the world might be buying while I'm sleeping, and you wake up in the morning and you've got appointments on your calendar because someone read your book or read something based on your book and they want to talk with you. Okay. So the next piece of this is, and I'm overlapping a little bit here, so we'll just ignore that for the moment, is long form content. Long form content. Now, this does not have to be live podcast interviews, although podcasts are growing dramatically in popularity because you can just listen while you're on the treadmill or while you're walking or while you're in the car, whatever. It's easier than video to consume for people. But things like Substack are just also exploding right now. And, YouTube is second largest search engine in the world. It may become the first the way things are moving. But the content for all of that can be your book, can be the exact content in your book. One core idea multiplied across every channel. So you notice we're covering the written, we're covering the audio, we're covering the video, and when we get to the, a couple steps down the road, we'll cover the interactive as well. So you don't start from scratch every week again. You provide people with what they want in the way that they like to consume it. Most authors now, when they publish a book on Amazon, the audiobook is complimentary. And sometimes people will release the audiobook ahead of the physical book so that people can start spreading the message. It's a great strategy. So, and then with this, to create the individual newsletters and posts and video scripts and even the videos themselves, if you don't want to be on camera, AI can amplify your voice and not replace it as it does the repurposing. I'll tell you a little ninja tip here. Yesterday, as I was preparing for this talk, I worked with Claude, and it not only generated some of the outline from some initial input that I made, but it generated the whole slide deck for me that I just needed to tweak and amplify a little bit to bring my own voice to it. It was, it's just we're going to look back on these days and say, oh, that was nothing, 5 years from now. But right now, it's so super cool that for those of us that can appreciate what it used to be like to develop a slide deck from scratch and to develop, to spend hours and weeks and months writing a piece of content or a book. And now it literally can be done in a fraction of that time. So I don't want you to let time be a barrier for you. That'll come up later again. It really doesn't need to be. And I know that most of you probably don't currently know what tools to use and how to make it work and all of that. And that's why I'm working with a handful of people one-on-one to actually share the processes that I've developed with you so that you can accelerate the content creation process, accelerate the client enrollment process, and really become known as that category of one in your particular niche. Even if you don't see yourself as a keynote speaker, doing some video as part of your content strategy and part of your flywheel is the closest thing to them being with you in your living room or in your event, right? And so, thanks to Zoom, thanks to the other, platforms that we have out there for virtual events, you can do really connect effectively and in a way that no other medium really does by using the voice medium, the video medium of Zoom or something similar. And if you want to speak on stages and your lifestyle is at your life cycle and lifestyle is at a point when that appeals to you, then that's the very best of all. I'm in a place now where I don't want to do a ton of that, but there was a stage in my career where I was, out speaking at least once a month, locally or at a conference or something. And so, what it just helps you to come across as the confident leader that you are or that you can be, and positions you as that category of one. And then it feeds your book, feeds your leads for your newsletter, your ecosystem. By ecosystem, I just mean your world of offers, your world of impact, your world of transformation. It does open doors that no cold outreach can do because the dynamic is reversed. You're not reaching out to someone asking them to meet with you. They're reaching out to you and asking if would do them the favor of giving them 15 minutes. It's a whole different dynamic. It's like, just like in dating. It's like the person who's obnoxiously going after you is nowhere near as appealing as the one that's sort of off in the corner, giving you the eye, but waiting for you to come to them, kind of thing. And it leads to other invitations. I've been kind of reflecting on this lately. It's like if I hadn't gone to a specific conference in a particular fall for 3 years in a row, this one woman stopped by one year and she said, "Be sure you're here next year because I'm going to be ready for to bring you in for something in our state." And I said, "Oh, great," and not necessarily knowing if I should take it seriously or not. But sure enough, the next fall, when I was at that same conference again, here she came and she said, "I'm ready. I want you to come in and train 120 of our workforce development staff, and I've gotten not only I've supplemented the funding that we get from the government with other private funds, and I'm ready. When can you start?" And, it was one of the biggest engagements that I had for private training during my Career Coach Institute days. But I wouldn't have had that opportunity if I was just hanging around on social media necessarily, right? So, speaking, having a signature talk based on your proprietary process that just draws people to you like a magnet is a very powerful part of the flywheel. And then one that most of you probably already have in place is coaching or consulting. So it feeds itself through these other methods, your content, your talks, your books, if they've read those, or you can be giving those away as PDFs to people, and your system. You don't need a launch to fill it because they're elevating through this process with you and leaning in as they get to know you more. So, uh, if you already have a coaching program, then the book, the podcast, the talk, and more are already embedded once we extract that proprietary process. So that's the good news. A lot of people will start here that are in my world. And then finally, again, this I'm going to get into, do I need all six of these in order for this to really work in the next slide, I think it is. But this step is where you begin to then certify others or train the trainer or license your program, which is why way back when we talked about proprietary system, we said design it in such a way that it can be done without you. This is one of the ways that you start to multiply yourself and you start to really create an asset instead of just a bunch of offers that are out there that one doesn't lead to the other necessarily. Your impact multiplies beyond what you can deliver personally, and it creates new levels of authority because now you're the creator of the certification for X. I know that personally from multiple certifications that I've done over the years or that I've designed and hosted. And it creates passive revenue for you as well. Now there's other layers that we can go into beyond this, services that serve your ideal clients and affiliates, and joint ventures and all kinds of different things. I don't want to make this too complicated. These are really the core components. And if you imagine there's another ring around this, and again, I want to keep the diagram simple, but I have another version that has all of the different ways that people can find you on the outside. They might first find you when you're promoting your certification. They might first find you when you do your book launch. They might first find you when you're interviewed on a podcast or you host someone else on a podcast. So they can come in at any point, and then they'll just simply want to gobble up everything they can consume once they decide that you're their person. You ever had that feeling about a mentor? I know I certainly have and do currently, for that matter. So anyway, it's um, it's fun. So, do you need all of these? The answer is no. And definitely, this isn't something that you'd probably want to do in a year. It will take a while, because you could create all these assets in a year, but you need to give people a chance to kind of absorb what you've created, build up to it, the launch of it, the long tail that it has going forward, and then how it leads into the next thing. So, um, what each coach, expert, potential author or speaker needs is a strategic design that's fitted to you using the right pieces in the right order so that you're getting the maximum impact and income based on how many hours do you want to work? Who's your audience? Et cetera. Do you want to have a team or not? You don't have to. And so we set it up in a way that it doesn't demand more of your time. Now, if you happen to be at the stage of your life and career where you want to put in 14-hour days, then that's fine, but your clients probably aren't going to be. And so even with that, you're still going to want to have that strategic design. So when it's complete, all the six of the elements are working together. AI powers every other outer channel in your voice, and you build once and multiply infinitely. The revenue compounds instead of resetting. So it works with or without you in the room, virtual or physical room. So are you with me so far? Is this making sense? I can just get rolling and forget to check in with all of you guys. So, but it becomes something, it's kind of tricky actually, because when I sold Career Coach Institute, I had multiple buyers interested, and I had set it up in such a way that I was really the face of the brand. Nothing wrong with that when you're running the company, but there needs to be a stage where you kind of step behind the scenes, and it's very easy to see that someone else could run it without you. So there's that delicate balance. You want to be seen as the authority, but if your goal is ultimately to sell your business, then that's a whole other question, which we aren't going to get into here because that's even beyond the seventh level of the flywheel. But just know that this is all about design and architecture. It's not by accident. It's not by accident. So if you had this flywheel in place, what would change? You would be going into the new month, which happens to start next Monday or Sunday, uh, and it wouldn't be a blank slate. You'd have recurring income, you'd have a solid system, your proprietary process that you can leverage throughout the month, and launch or no launch, up to you, right? I personally enjoy the dynamics of a launch, but that doesn't mean that I do one every single month either. More time for your family, for yourself, for traveling, for whatever it is that you love. Maybe you love horses. Maybe you love doing crafts. Maybe you love yoga, whatever it might be. Maybe you're a weight trainer. Maybe you enjoy some other type of hobby. You'll have more time for that, in addition to absolutely loving your business. And I think biggest thing of all is just the peace versus the stress that so many thought leaders and experts are feeling now, trying to figure out this crazy marketplace that is nothing like what they started out in. You know, it is definitely not the same, not your mother's marketplace, I guess we could say. So that's the feeling that we're going for. Those are the results that we're going for. So just imagine that you've done this process. Your methodology is fully codified into a scalable system. And again, you might think that you're just doing individual marketing services, individual bookkeeping services, individual, social media management. There is a methodology that we can help you extract from that that will make it easier for you to offer to people. And particularly if right now, just staying on that first box for a minute, if you are customizing your services to every single client, that is a trap that you'll never get out of until you start creating a true flywheel. Your ecosystem is designed to convert daily sales. Um, just to give you an idea, the mentor that I'm working with now had 156 sales last week alone, and she's rebuilding from scratch as of about 18 months ago. I'm like, yes, please, right? It's just such a delight to see those Stripe transactions or those PayPal transactions coming through, on a regular basis. Now, were those all $15,000 sales? No, they were not. Some were 22, some were 3,000, some were 15,000, some were other, amounts. But combination of recurring income and new sales, that's what's possible. Just kind of take that in for a moment. Imagine what that would be like without you having to have 156 personal sessions with people, or taking on 156 individual clients. It's it's leveraged. The system is leveraged so that your services are leveraged and you have just the right container for each of the clients that come in to start from. And then you use AI to repurpose your content so that you're omnipresent right now. That word is being used a lot. If you listen to experts like Neil Patel, he says being seen everywhere. It's the same thing. Another author and expert that I've listened to in the past uses the actual word omnipresence. But here's the thing: people do not buy from just one channel anymore. I mentioned earlier that they might find you through your book. They might find you through a podcast episode or a YouTube or a Substack post, but they're not necessarily buying in that moment. They're then going to go elsewhere on the internet. They're going to look at your store or your e-commerce store or your website. They're going to look at other channels where you have a presence. They're going to watch some of the videos, read some of the articles, etc. Maybe your LinkedIn newsletter or whatever. And then they're going to, through one of those channels or maybe back where they started, is where they're going to buy. And that's why omnipresence is so important. They need multiple contact points to trust you enough to buy. And that's true even for a really low ticket thing anymore. Make sure they're spending their money wisely. And then they need to be able to buy when they're ready and where they're ready. So it's a different market, and it sounds like it would be more demanding, but it doesn't have to be. But here's what most people are doing. Most people think it's a content game, and if they just post more content, they'll get more leads. It's not necessarily true. Okay, so it's more about um, what the content is about. Is it specific enough? Does it connect emotionally? And then do you have an infrastructure once they come into your world that helps them get that result that they've come to you for? So what I'm going to be doing, as I mentioned, is working with a handful of people one-on-one in what I'm calling the AI-powered authority accelerator for a 90-day period of time. It's not a group program. This is individual. And what we're going to be doing together is really helping you to flesh out your methodology and the roadmap of your assets in that flywheel. What makes sense for you? Maybe a book doesn't work for you right now, but you're interested in Substack. Maybe you're interested in doing more video and less writing. Whatever it is, we'll find all of that out in our initial session with you. So that authority positioning, so that you're not scratching and clawing with all the other people that claim to do the same thing, but that thanks to a specific process that we take you through at the front end that is AI enabled, you actually discover your category of one and develop your own unique language for it so that there's no one else like you. Okay. Secondly, we help you to map out the architecture of your premium offer because even though we might be bringing people in through a lower ticket offer, we still need to know where they're headed, right? We need to know where they're headed so that then we can create the natural initial entry step, what I call a stair step offer, to get them an initial result and make them want to move forward with the next step. Then we help you create the right kind of content that does emotionally connect with the buyer's everyday experience, that helps you stand out, and they stop the scroll and they're like, oh, she's talking, what I was thinking last night at 3 in the morning, right? And but it's in your voice. You'll have a brand voice document that will allow you to then input that every time that you want to use AI for creating content for you. Articles, email sequences, social posts, whatever you feel like you need to do. And you literally can create a month's worth of your content in one, either a half a day or a full day, one time during the month. And then you're focusing on just responding to and serving the people that respond to that as it's pre-scheduled and goes out. So that alone saves you a ton of time and time on social during the week. And then your client acquisition system, how to have those conversations once people respond, how to sell in the chat, who to partner with so that you might swap webinars or live trainings with each other for audiences that are a good fit for you, how to get those first clients in the door. And all of it step by step, give you tools, templates, prompts, and the whole works, so that at the end of 90 days, you have at least a couple of premium clients. You have a system that you can leverage fully going forward. And then, of course, there's additional opportunities to build that out once the 90 days is up. So we'll have weekly calls one-on-one. We'll review your current offers, system, and give you expert guidance on what that proprietary process can look like or should look like, or any tweaks to make to what you've got, and your authority ecosystem, which is your version of the flywheel. What assets are we going to build out? We'll give you access to our proprietary GPTs that help you build all of the elements with text and graphics, email access to me between sessions, and you're working personally with me. Not with another person I've trained or something. You're working directly with me, and we have it priced at a founding client investment, just for the next week while we bring in these initial clients that are going to be getting the access. So I want to leave you with this thought and then I'll let you know how to get access to the details on this. You're not behind. You might have thought so because life sent you a detour. You're not behind. You're not missing out, and you're not even late to the party. You're just between architectures. Is that reassuring? I mean, whether it be age, illness, stage of, divorce, whatever it might be. I was just, anyway, doesn't matter. You're at exactly the right time. And with the Year of the Fire Horse that just started here a couple weeks ago, it's time for you to really step into your greatest work ever. And I would love to be your guide on that journey. So here's what I'd invite you to do is to schedule a call with me. Just go to my Calendly, calendly.com/bizguidance with a Z, and we'll see what this would look like for us to work together. If you would like to see an overview, feel free to email me. Bizguidance@gmail.com actually is the easiest email to use. And I promise you that it's priced in such a way that one sale makes your investment back. I don't mean to be secretive about it. I just want to be sure that we are a fit and that you know what you're getting into and what the expectations are. And then I'm happy to share those details so that you can make an informed decision. So calendly.com/bizguidance, or you can reach me on Facebook or LinkedIn as well. And I'm excited to host those of you that feel a resonance with this and that are really ready to simplify, streamline, and increase the number of people that you can help, the ways in which you can help them, and the income that you receive for that. So thanks for your time and attention. I look forward to seeing you on a call. And if you do have any questions, feel free to just let me know via email. Take care.